Have you ever wondered why, even resting in a warm bed, your heart races as if it were escaping a ravenous beast? Why your thoughts, so presentable during the day, are stripped bare at night, exposing fears that no one sees? And why that anguish that society calls a disease insists on whispering truths that you pretend not to hear? Nietzsche said, "He who has a reason to live can bear almost any how." But what about when the how becomes a knot in your throat that tightens for no reason? Alan Watts was even more uncomfortable. He didn't want to teach you to breathe deeply or list formulas to dominate the mind. He looked at your open wound and whispered, "You are not anxious. You are awake." Yes, awake. In a world that hypnotizes for conformity, your anxiety may be the last cry of your lucidity. While everyone runs after security, stability, control, you who tremble, sweat, lose your breath, may be the only one who senses the absurdity of wanting to hold life with your hands. I am not here to give you coach advice, nor promise miracles wrapped in boxes of guided meditation. I am here to lead you through a labyrinth that few dare to explore, that of your own mind. And who knows, you might discover in the end that anxiety is not an enemy, but an uncomfortable messenger who just wants you to wake up. So close the door, silence the outside world. I am going to whisper secrets that society would prefer you never hear, because today you will not sleep numbly, you will sleep lucidly. Imagine a man in an impeccable suit, sitting in an important meeting, smiling at everyone while, inside, his mind screams for help. Imagine a mother rocking her child in the crib, wishing from the bottom of her chest that love were enough to silence the incessant rumor in her head. Imagine yourself, now, taking a deep breath, trying to look composed, while inside you, a hole slowly swallows you. They called this a disease, labeled it a disorder, said, "Take this medicine, do yoga, repeat positive affirmations, organize your schedule, be productive." But no one told you that perhaps, just perhaps, that anxiety is not a defect. It is a whisper of your consciousness that refuses to fall asleep in the lukewarm comfort of the collective lie. Alan Watts dared to say the unspeakable. The desire for security and the feeling of insecurity are the same phenomenon. You try to guarantee that nothing escapes control. And the more you squeeze, the more it slips away. It is like trying to hold water with trembling hands. What slips through your fingers is your sanity, exhausted from so much pretending strength. I know you are afraid of going crazy, of being seen as weak, of not meeting expectations, of not being good enough for the world that packages smiles and posts and swears instant happiness. But listen, right here, in the silent early morning, it is not madness, it is an excess of lucidity. It is realizing that everything is uncertain, that no one controls anything, that promises of stability are sandcastles on the seashore, and the tide always comes in. You are not broken, you are awake. You are feeling the pain of one who has not yet been anesthetized by routine, by consumption, by the obligation to be functional. Watts, Cioran, Artaud, all of them bled this wound before you. They knew. Whoever sees too much pays the price of not fitting the mold. Anxiety is, then, that cry you hide when they say, "Relax, just stop thinking so much." As if thinking less were a blessing for someone born condemned to feel everything. You feel what others would not even bear to name. And you carry that in your chest, beating in the form of tachycardia, cold sweat, and thoughts that chew on calm down to the bone. But, note well, I am not giving you license to suffer eternally. Perhaps I am giving you permission to look your anguish in the face, like someone facing a wild animal in the dark. Without weapons, without running away. Just you, and that inner roar that wants to be heard. Deep down, the question is not how to stop feeling this, but what inside me needs to be heard, accepted, welcomed. Because that anxiety, my dear insomniac, may be the most alive part you have. The part that insists on saying, "You have not forgotten yourself yet. Breathe. Let it burn. This is the beginning. The beginning of a life that is not satisfied with just functioning, but dares to exist whole, naked, raw, wild. And who knows, tomorrow, when the sun rises, you will realize that this restlessness is not a disease, but an awakening that no one can medicate. Close your eyes for an instant. Feel your chest, the blood pulsing, the breathing obstinate and accelerating for no apparent reason. Now imagine a primitive man, naked on the savannah, hearing the rustling of branches behind him. Maybe it is the wind, maybe it is a lion. His heart also races, his muscles tense, his skin breaks out in a cold sweat. That brutal surge of fear is what makes him run and survive. Now open your eyes. You are in your room. There are no lions. Just the cell phone notification, the unanswered email, the debt that swallows your dreams, the guilt for not being everything they expected of you. Your body, that biological reliquary of millennia, does not know how to differentiate predators from thoughts. And so, night after night, morning after morning, the lion never leaves. Robert Sapolsky, that name may still be strange to you, is a neuroscientist who dedicated his life to understanding why zebras do not get ulcers, but humans do. He discovered something as obvious as it is cruel. Stress, that primitive engine, was molded to solve real, immediate problems. An attack, a flight, a fight for life. But today, the problem is a projection. It is a what if that devours your nervous system like silent fire. Your body was not made to deal with ghosts, but you feed them with every anxious thought about tomorrow. While the zebra goes back to grazing minutes after fleeing the lion, you remain frozen in the imaginary savanna of your mind, forever. Note well, it is not weakness, it is not drama, it is biology betraying modernity. We are hunters living in air-conditioned offices, responding to WhatsApps while the limbic system, that archaic part of the brain, triggers alarms as if the roar of a feline were behind the door. While you try to sleep, your brain runs through every possibility of loss, failure, death. While you feign calm, your body sculpts ulcers, spills stress hormones that kill cells prematurely, devour your immunity, sabotage your libido, gnaw at your sleep. Sapolsky warns, it is not the lion that kills you. It is your fear of him when he is no longer there. And maybe no one has told you this, but it is not just about stopping negative thinking. Your body needs to learn, slowly, to trust that the danger has passed. But how to convince that beast inside you when the modern world creates new predators with every click? That is the prison. A mind that manufactures monsters, a body that believes in them, a society that sells pills to silence all this, but that does not teach you to be an animal again. Instinct, presence. You want peace, but your DNA wants survival. You want calm, but your brain still smells threats in the dark. Deep down, we are prehistoric relics trying to function in a universe of passwords, likes, and deadlines. You think you went mad. I tell you, no. You are a living fossil, an alert machine made to flee the lion, but that today flees from itself. And as long as you do not understand that body, as long as you continue to treat it as an enemy, the internal war will never cease. It is necessary to relearn to inhabit that flesh, to feel the pulse, to listen to the tiredness of the bones, to be grateful for that organism that only wants to keep you alive, even when you beg for a little silence inside your head. So breathe again. It is not just in your mind. It is etched in your spine, in your stomach, in your tight chest. Your body screams that something needs to change. And if you listen, perhaps for the first time, the lion will fall silent. Imagine a man trying to hold back the tide with open hands. With each wave, he squeezes harder, but the water slips away, laughs at him, drowns him. Alan Watts whispered this truth to restless generations that still frightens today. The more you try to control life, the sicker you become. You were trained to believe that stability is a virtue. Since childhood, you were taught that everything must be in order. Contained emotions, planned routine, guaranteed future. But no one said that. By trying to fix the uncontrollable, you yourself become a prisoner. Watts saw the reflection of this tragic obsession in anxiety. The desire for certainty is, paradoxically, the confession of an insecure mind. You only seek to secure tomorrow because you do not trust the now. You want guarantees because, deep down, you know there are none. He wrote with a lucidity that burns, "The seeking for security is a contradiction in itself, for the more you seek security, the more you are in fact assuming that you are insecure." And that is exactly where insecurity is born. Think of this as a dog chasing its own tail. You project scenarios, create lists, make promises of absolute control, schedules, goals, diets, relationships that cannot fail. But all it takes is one detail out of the script. An unanswered no, a layoff, an illness, and everything crumbles. Meanwhile, you forget to breathe. You forget that life only happens in the interval between one sigh and another. Watts pointed out this wound. The modern man is a ghost. He lives between the regret of the past and the anxiety of the future, and the now is an empty room that no one dares to furnish. You do not trust the now because it is wild. The now is unpredictable. It is the changing wind, the coming storm, the love that leaves. You prefer to suffocate yourself in the promise of security than to dance in the chaos of the instant. And that is why you get sick. Observe the always tense hands, the clenched jaw, the chest, a prison where breathing desperately beats. Every muscle in your body testifies to your futile attempt to contain the current. And in this resistance, fear, anxiety, and collapse are born. Watts laughed, not out of cruelty, but because he understood the game. You will never have control, and that is liberating. As soon as you accept the shipwreck, you realize that there is nothing to be saved. There is only the sea, and you, floating for a brief instant, alive. This is not an invitation to irresponsible chaos. It is an invitation to surrender to the flow. To realize that security is not an external structure, but an internal dance. Being flexible like water, strong like the river that curves around stones, without losing its course. Perhaps you are tired of fighting. Maybe now, in the silence of this early morning that belongs to us, you feel a thread of truth in this whisper. The cure is not to hold on tighter, but to open your hands. And when you do that, when you let go of tomorrow, you will notice that anxiety dissolves like mist in the sun, because you will finally be where life always was. Here, before moving on to the next topic, we have a quick message, and perhaps it is the most important of this video. Have you ever felt stuck, even while trying to change? Have you noticed that no matter how many books you read, videos you watch, or how hard you try, something invisible keeps pulling you back into the same patterns? Well, know that this is not a coincidence, and it has an explanation. Recently, researchers and scholars rediscovered a model of mental transformation used centuries ago by philosophers, strategists, and thinkers who changed the course of history. A silent, yet incredibly effective method that unites science, psychology, and ancient wisdom, and that few people still know about. Those who applied this method described the experience as if a key were turning inside. Clarity, discipline, a stronger identity, as if, for the first time, they were truly in control of their own mind. Listen, perhaps this is the first time someone tells you this without fear. Your anxiety does not want to destroy you. It wants to wake you up. It screams like a trapped bird flapping its wings in the cage that you yourself built with goals, controls, facades of strength. You spent so much time trying to silence it. You breathed deeply, repeated mantras, swallowed pills, all to tame that scream that insists on breaking the comfortable silence of a planned life. But what if I told you that, by silencing anxiety, you also silence the most alive part of you? Alan Watts understood this like few others. Whoever embraces impermanence gains something that no one can take away: presence. And presence is the bitter remedy that anxiety tries to force you to take. It is not a sedative, it is a reality check. Note well, you do not need to become a monk on a mountaintop. You do not need to get rid of everything, quit your job, break ties. You need, perhaps, something more courageous to stop running away from yourself. Close your eyes with me. Feel that knot in your throat, that invisible hand tightening your chest. Instead of fleeing, sit next to it. Ask, what do you want to tell me? Do not expect pretty answers. Perhaps the choked sob of a childhood fear, unlived grief, the guilt of leaving behind who you were before needing to be strong for the world will come. Surrender is not passivity. It is the courage to feel everything until the end, without shortcuts. It is realizing that pain, fear, and doubt are not enemies. They are legitimate parts of a psyche that wants to be heard, not trained. Sapolsky, with his scientific coldness, proved that the body only disarms the alert mode when it trusts that it is safe. But Watts went further. He showed that security does not exist outside, only here inside. At the exact second you stop fighting the wave. Do you want to start? Close your eyes every time the panic comes. Feel the air tearing your throat, expanding your chest. Do not try to control anything. Observe like a monk observes incense dissolving in the temple. That practice, simple, raw, does something that therapy, medication, and motivational phrases will never do alone. It gives you back the power of being present. Presence is not magic. It is the discipline of not fleeing from yourself. It is being so intimate with your own chaos that one day it becomes background music. And there, my dear insomniac, anxiety no longer dominates you. It becomes a silent teacher who comes to warn you when you are betraying yourself again. Perhaps later on, you will discover that you did not need pre-made formulas. You only needed to stop betraying your own nature to fit into a world of plastic, because whoever surrenders to the real surrenders to nothing else. And if anguish visits you again tomorrow, smile at it as one welcomes an old friend. Thank you for reminding me that I am still alive, I am still awake, I am still human. Breathe, just for an instant, with no rush to return to being functional for the outside world. Feel your chest, which, now, may weigh less, or weigh more, but with an honest weight that does not deceive. You made it this far. You crossed dark corridors of the mind with me. You visited ghosts hidden behind every anxious thought. And perhaps you discovered that they are not monsters, but parts of you that no one taught you to love. Alan Watts, Sapolsky, Jung, all of them pointed to the same door. Do not fight the flow, immerse yourself in it. Not because life is safe, but because trying to hold on to it is what makes you sick. Anxiety, seen up close, is not poison. It is a raw, almost rude oracle that screams when you betray who you are, when you live projected into a tomorrow that does not exist, when you deny the indomitable nature of the now. So allow yourself. Allow fear to exist. Allow yourself to feel. Allow yourself to let go of control. And above all, allow yourself to live in the only reality you actually possess, this instant. After all, perhaps Alan Watts whispered this to all of us. The secret is not to be well all the time. It is to be whole, even when nothing is well. And now, close your eyes. Allow the world to keep talking by itself for just a few minutes. There is a stillness within you that does not want to be controlled, but heard. And if you truly pay attention, perhaps you will discover that you are not anxious. You are, finally, awake. I felt the need to write all this because, a few years ago, I myself woke up in an early morning like this, distressed, trembling, believing my chest was going to stop. And it did not stop. On the contrary, in that oppression, I discovered that life did not want me to be strong. It wanted me to be sincere. It was that night, lying on the cold bathroom floor, that revealed what no self-help book dared to say. Anxiety is not a monster. It is an indicator that you are tired of deceiving yourself. So, if anything in this video found refuge inside you, know that you are not alone in that dark room. There is a silent community of lucid insomniacs, exhausted from feigning normality, and I am among them. Now I could beg you, Like, comment, subscribe to the channel. But, frankly, if after all this you don't do it on your own initiative, then who am I to dominate anything, right? Watts would approve of my resignation to manipulating you. And, by the way, those mysterious videos appearing on the screen now, choose one. I promise they are not sedatives. They are doses of disturbance. Open them if you have the courage to stay alert. Until the next video.